Welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're here to help scale your business, build stronger teams, and sharpen your leadership skills. I'm your host, Denise Killian with the GrowthPro Group and Trainertainment. This week, we'll be speaking with Jim Tartal, owner of Scottdale Music Services and secretary of AMOA. And we're talking about why you should belong to organizations within your industry and how that membership can help sharpen your edge. Jim, welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're thrilled to have you today.
Hi, Denise. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Listen, before we get started talking about the importance of organizations, I want to start with, tell me a little bit about what you do at Scottdale Music Service, as well as what you do with AMOA.
Scottdale Music Service, I'm a small, well, I call myself small, but I'm an operator in southwestern Pennsylvania, south of Pittsburgh. And I'm kind of at my first job from 16 years old. My father bought a restaurant, and I watched these jukeboxes come rolling in the door in 1971. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And so I started talking to the owner of the jukeboxes, and we kind of became friends. And he used to say, when you turn 16, I'm going to give you a job. And lo and behold, I turned 16. I said, hey, I got a driver's license. And, I was a skinny little kid, at 16. And I said, I'm out of school here in a few weeks. In a couple of weeks, I could use a job. And I've been there ever since. So I've been an owner for 30 some years, and it's been a great ride. It's been a great ride.
So essentially, you own the jukeboxes, the dartboards, the pool tables, and things like that in bars and restaurants all over Pennsylvania.
Yes, that's correct. That's that's kind of the definition of an operator is I buy the jukeboxes, the pinballs, the pool tables, and I contract with locations, which are bars, restaurants, family entertainment centers, game rooms, things like that, and contract with them to install the games, and we do a revenue share. And it's been really nice working with other small businesses to help them, supplement their, the income for their location and their business. It's really fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, I think they say if you love what you do, it's not really a job, right?
Yes, that's true. I get up every morning. I've been at this for a lot of years, and I still like to go out on the route, and I service some locations myself. When I'm out there, I'm talking to the patrons in the bars, and I'm talking to the bartenders that I've gotten to know and the owners for years, and I've watched their kids grow up and things. It's really cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And as part of your business, you're also part of an organization called the AMOA.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I got involved. I've been a member of the AMOA for a number of years, but with business craziness and trying to grow your business and things, I didn't really have the time to get involved with the AMOA. But prior to that, I was involved in my state association, PAMA, and I had moved up in the ranks over there, and I was vice president for a number of years. And I thought, I started looking at AMOA, and I thought, this would be a great move, and I could maybe really help out this organization, and maybe help out other operators across the country rather than just across the state. So, I've been involved with AMOA, and I'm moving up, and as an executive now, and it's been really, really fun and very, very rewarding. So rewarding.
Yeah. And that's how we met, right? I work with the AAMA, which is a similar organization. And we were together just last week in Washington, D.C. to do some lobbying on behalf of our industry. And I think that's something that is a really important part of those state and national organizations of having a voice to the people that matter.
Yes, it definitely does. And last week, our trip to DC, putting all those steps in when it's 95 degrees outside and everything, it's so rewarding. And really, with AMOA and their sister organization, AAMA, which, for anybody listening, AMOA is like an operator-based association, and AAMA is the manufacturers and suppliers. And with both of those groups together in DC and walking the halls, we're a bigger voice together. And, and it really proves that. And it's so rewarding. It was so rewarding last week. And last year I did the same thing with both groups. And, it's extremely rewarding to talk to all those staffers and stuff for all these lawmakers. It was a great time. And I think it was very effective.
Yeah. And, one of the issues that we talked about is debanking. That is a problem, particularly for operators like yourself that are in a cash business. The problem with
Yes.
debanking, can you tell the folks about that issue?
Yes. What it is a number of years ago, as an operator, we came upon ATMs as being another source of income and another service that we could provide for our locations. And so a lot of us got into it. And, of course, they're cash intensive. We had to take company funds, put them into the ATM, and then the consumers draw it out, and then it gets put back into our bank account. And then we go back into the bank, pull it out, put it back into the ATM. And so it's a very cash intensive business. And for some reason, after Operation Choke Point a number of years ago, the banks just suddenly decided to not do business with some of us. They would just close our accounts and then send us a form letter in the mail saying, "Hey, sorry, we're done with you." And we're thinking, why? We couldn't get an answer as to why. Now, they wouldn't tell you anything. So we'd have to scramble then, put our payroll checks on hold, put our vendor checks on hold, put our lives on hold to go and find another bank to do business with and get signed up to them, get the account started. And then in the meantime, our monies from our ATMs are getting deposited into that account and it's frozen. Oh, it just creates a nightmare. It makes it extremely hard to do business. And our question is, we want to know why. Why are we being debanked? Of AMOA's 850 members approximately, and right around 30% of our members have been debanked at least once. Some of them, some of my colleagues 4 times, 3 times. It's just a rampant thing that's been going on. And and we are a legal business. We are a cash business. Our games are take dollar bills and take quarters, and we have to take those dollar bills and quarters into the bank. It's just our part of doing business. And, I don't know why they would lump us in like that or debank us, and they won't get us an answer. So we're just trying to get some traction in law where we have got a little bit of teeth or a little bit of recourse or just a question or an answer to our question, why? So it's difficult. It's been very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, and that's the frustrations that have been happening with that, and that's been about 10 years that that's been going on. And that to have as an individual business owner, to have that happen to you is incredibly frustrating, and you can't get quite the right answers, and in the meantime, your employees aren't getting paid, you can't pay your bills because everything is frozen and you don't know why, and all of those frustrations, but then what do you do about it? And as one individual, it's really hard to do anything about it, right? And that's kind of the power of belonging to an organization within your industry.
Yes, yes, it is. Whenever this first started happening, naturally the first guys that it happened to, they called the AMOA office and said, "You can't believe what happened to me." And, we explained, they explained it to them and they went, "Wow, this is an issue." Whenever we're getting calls and calls and calls that this is happening across the country, that really spiked it up to say, wow, we've got to collectively do something about this. And that's where the AMOA took up this issue and went to different parts of government and try. We're continually trying to get answers, to get teeth, to make this happen or make this go away, or at least give us answers, give us some best practices, give us something so that we can tell our members, hey, this is what you got to do. And then we would be glad to do it. Glad to do it.
Yeah. And there's a couple of pieces of legislation that are out there right now. We're able to talk to that and even help craft some of those legislative measures because we've got these relationships with lawmakers. And that's just something that a larger organization is able to do And let's be honest, Congress members are busy. They always want to hear from their constituents. But if you have one constituent, you're going to pay some attention to it. But if you've got a multitude of constituents all coming together, that's a more powerful voice that they listen to a little bit more.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, and a voice that knows what they're talking about, knows the issues and things, as a collective part, it's definitely a plus to do that. President Trump's executive order last year, uh, saying that the banks could not use reputational risk to close accounts, it kind of slowed things down a good bit, but we still don't have enough teeth in that executive order to really make it stick. We just had one of our members in Southern Florida, about a month ago. May 28th, his accounts were fine. May 29th, his accounts were closed, and he gets a letter 2 days later saying that they were closing his account. Well, guess what? They were already closed. So it's kind of a slap to even get that letter then later, but it proves that it's still happening. But it is definitely slowed, but we just need some more teeth and just some more grunt behind it.
Yeah. So, every industry has organizations, a state organization, and more than likely a national organization as well. And it kind of doesn't matter if you're a banker, if you're a baker, if you're a bar owner or a restaurant owner, right? No matter what it is, there is going to be an organization that is meant to provide information, provide uh, help for situations like this and guidance for situations like this. And I think a lot of people either know that that might exist, but I'm not going to get anything out of it, or I don't have time to mess with that, or what good is that going to do me? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And once they get involved, once they make that decision to stick their toe in there and get involved, then they're going to see, wow, why didn't I do this a long time ago? It was fantastic in the state whenever I got involved in my state association, PAMA, of how much I learned just from what guys are doing on the other side of the state. And and I look at and I see that, wow, these guys are facing the same problems I am. It is very interesting. But like you said, Denise, the any kind of business has organizations, and get involved. Get involved because you don't know what you're missing. Yeah, you don't know what you're missing. And, you're going to meet great people that are doing the same thing and are working as hard as you are at your business. So get involved and help out a little bit. It helps the whole industry. It helps everybody thrive. It gives us a little bit, as we talk to different members about our problems, it gives us a little bit of confidence to know that we're doing some of the right things. And it also gives us a little bit of, yeah, breathing room. Like, yeah, okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. So let's push through. Or if I talk to somebody saying that they addressed this problem this way over on their side of the state, then I bring that back here and say, wow, that's great. That works great. So there is so much value in your organizations. I saw it in the state, and then as I got into more involved in my national association, AMOA, it was like, wow, man, just talking to people in different states across the country that have different laws and things, and how they handle their business, how they handle things. It's fantastic. It's just fantastic. And you just learn so much, and it provides that extra lifeline that if you have a question on something, you're thinking, wow, man, I don't know what to do about this. Well, you know what? I know this guy out in Iowa. He runs a lot of these games. I'm going to give him a call and see what's going on. And then bam, he goes, oh yeah, Jim, this is how you handle it. This is how I've handled it. And I've had great success with it. And bingo, your problem's taken care of. So there's just so much value in it. But I just get really, in talking to some other operators around my area that I might be friendly with and friends with, and they're like, oh no, I just don't have time. And boy, I just want to say, come on, man, you got to get with it. You got to get with it, and get in there. You won't regret it. Nobody will regret it. Nobody will regret being involved in their association for their business.
Yeah. And you know, and that example that you just used is I see it so many times when I, do work with AMA, but other organizations I'm involved in, chances are if you're having an issue or a problem or a frustration in your business, there is someone else that's going through that or has gone through that. So why wouldn't you be involved and have the ability to reach out and say, "Hey, this is happening. Has anybody else dealt with this? What did you do with that?" And at minimum, you can know that misery loves company, right? That you're not alone, but quite probably someone's going to have gone through that and found a solution that can work for you or that you can tweak a little bit and I can use part of this and part of that and come to that solution. So just the camaraderie and the opportunity to get access to information with people that are going through it too, I think is invaluable.
Oh my, yes. Yeah, you're definitely right. Just those little things like that all add up. And it's just fantastic to be able to have that information, available. Get on your association's member list and think, wow, there's this guy out in wherever, on the other side of say in Scranton, PA, over here in my area in the other corner of the state, where I could call them up and say, "Hey man, are you running this dart machine? I'm having this issue. Oh yeah, you got to change this software or something." It's just, there's just the sky's the limit on what you can find out between their technical guys. That might, they might have a really good technician that knows a trick to fix something. It's really cool. It's just really cool.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
absolutely. Absolutely. How long have you been a part of the AMOA?
Oh man, AMOA, it's got to be 30 some years that I've been a member, probably since I bought into the business in 94, 92. And, but I've been involved for probably about the past 10 years, on the board for the last 8. So it's been, and it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. Now as treasurer now this year. And then, uh, if I'm if I'm allowed, or if I pass the test to go to first vice president, and then I'll be hopefully president in 2028. So it's really, really exciting. And I'm so honored to, you know, I've been in the business for over 45 years. So it's really an honor to be involved in something that is a national thing now that I've done my whole life. It's really an honor.
No, absolutely. And the impact you're able to make is important as well,
Yes,
right?
I hope yes, yes, I hope I can. And nothing thrills me more is when I get that call from somebody across the country that wants to ask me something. I'm thinking, wow, man, that's pretty cool. I guess I'm doing something right. You get involved in your business and you dig every day, and you dig and you dig and you dig. And you don't really see that outside influence that you might have. But when you get those calls from those guys from another state, it's great to know that you mean something to them too. Very cool.
Absolutely. Now, Jim, I want to take you back to that 16-year-old hanging out in your dad's restaurant, looking at the jukeboxes.
Yeah.
How do you grow from, okay, I got this summer job and I'm putting new records in? I mean, back then it was records, right? You're putting new records in the jukeboxes. How do you grow from that at 16 to be like, this is what I want to be a part of for the foreseeable
Yeah.
future?
Yeah, it was really cool. At 16, when I started, at my first job, I walked in the door and I'm filling Pepsi machines and cleaning pinballs and putting records on 45 RPM records on jukeboxes. We were super small, probably 1/5 of the size that we are now, and a private owner, and there was just me and one mechanic, and that was it. That pretty much ran the business, and then the owner unfortunately passed away suddenly, and the family had the business for a while, and we grew during that time because the family was, the son was ready to expand the business, and saw some new opportunities. So we grew there. And then the family made me and a coworker, the opportunity to buy it out, And I thought, you know what? Okay, this is definitely my life's work now. And, I was in the Army National Guard. for years before that. And, I'm thinking, wow, man, this is life changing now. This is my career. This is my life. And, and we grew through the compact disc phase through into digital jukeboxes and ATMs. And wow, it's just been, and then getting through COVID, and it's been quite a ride. It's been quite a ride. But, it's been really cool to grow it though. Really cool.
So something that you just said, it kind of struck me a little bit thinking about it. You started with jukeboxes and it was 45s, and now it's digital. That's with like 15 different stops in between. That's a lot of technological change. That's a lot of different business models, different pay scales, right? Like now you can play a song on a jukebox from your phone, you know. A lot of changes. How do you keep up with those changes and with that growth in the industry?
Boy, the digital jukebox has really revolutionized bar entertainment. And then when the cell phones became involved, we'd be able to do mobile play and, on the jukebox, really kicked it up a notch. We were able to sit at a bar or sit there having dinner and scroll through it and think, I haven't heard this song for a while, and bam, hit play now, and it's playing. And so, it really has. But, as you grow, as you get this new technology, you almost have to start slow and think, okay, how am I going to do this? How many jukeboxes am I going to have to buy in the next year? How many in 2 years? How many in 3 years? To be able to cover your route without sapping your funds too bad. So you got to kind of budget yourself and things. But that's the thing, is careful budgeting, a good plan. A good plan. Unfortunately, or fortunately, but unfortunately, I'm small. I'm smaller. So I really didn't have to sit there and think, okay, I'm going to do 3 jukeboxes next year, and I'm going to do 5 the next year. No, it's just kind of business depends on it, because you might put one jukebox in one place in a town, and then you've got 4 other bars in that town. Then they're clamoring for that jukebox. So guess what? You're expanding a little bit quicker than you wanted to, but you know we have partnerships with all of these locations, and we want them to survive. And if they're making money, guess what? I'm not worried about me making money. I'm worried about them making money, because if they're making money, odds are, if I'm smart enough, I'm making a couple of bucks too. So increasing the locations bottom line, and helping them supplement their business is really fun. And it's nice to be able to go into a location and you look up to you thinking, wow, man, this guy's made me a few bucks. I'm helping them pay my electric bill by what this guy does for me. So it's really cool. It's really cool. But you got to keep up with it. You got to keep up with it, because if you try to slow down and you don't want to embrace the new technology, guess what? In my business, you're a speed bump then. And I don't want to be a speed bump. I've never been a speed bump. And so you've got to keep up. Just like in any business, in any business, it isn't just amusement vending. It's any business. You have to keep up with technology, and you have to keep your equipment up to date. You have to keep your service up to date. So it's challenge, yeah. But guess what? That's business. That's the business challenge that we all face every day. I'm sure, Denise, you hear it from all the people that you help and you work with. Business is a challenge.
It is across the board, and keeping up with the new technologies, no matter what your industry is. How do you use AI and incorporate in my business is going to be different than how you would incorporate it in yours, right? If there's a new piece of technology, if there's a new supplier that is offering something different, is that going to work with all the other things? Like, it can become very convoluted. And is this going to talk to that thing? And, is it all going to work together? And that's something else that I found that is invaluable with your state organizations and your national organizations is, yes, we have these meetings, and this is for any industry, right? You have these meetings, and they'll always have some kind of an educational part of those meetings, where they bring people in to talk about, here's how you deal with this, or here's this problem, or here's that problem, right? So that helps you stay on top of things too, because things are changing so incredibly rapidly.
Yes, yes, that's very true. that education at, at the state level and national level, that extra education is priceless, because you might think, oh, well, my keypads on my ATMs work just fine. Well, guess what? They're changing the parameters on keypads now. So now you have somebody from Sung or one of the other ATM manufacturers coming in to talk to your organization, saying, here's how you handle it, guys. You've got 3 years to change these, or, we're getting more secure. So this is the way you got to handle things, so that's all a plus. But that's just in my business. But in any business, I'm sure that these kind of new technologies always come up, and being part of your national organization is going to make it a lot easier for you to deal with those problems, I believe.
Absolutely. All right, Jim, what would you tell that 16-year-old today if you could talk to him? What advice would you give him?
Oh man. Um, you know what? That in today's youth has a lot more challenges than whenever I was 16. With peer pressure bigger than ever, and with digital age and Facebook and things and bullying, and the whole thing is to focus. Just focus yourself, focus your life. Try not to let those bad things in. Don't let those bad things into you. They're always going to be around. Realize that they're there. Don't succumb to those problems. In my industry, being in bars and clubs since I was 16 years old, yeah, there's a lot of ways I could have went south. And you've got to grab yourself by the bootstraps and do the right thing, and push through. I joined the Army National Guard at 17. Yeah, 17. So, that kind of discipline was pushing me too. So I had to keep my hair cut, keep my mustache trimmed, and all that other stuff good for drill weekends and things. But the whole thing is these young people really need to focus. I would tell young Jim, keep your act together, work hard, attention to detail. Attention to detail was something that's pounded into me in basic training. And I still live to that thing today, attention to detail. And everything I do, from the way that I arrange a route, arrange machines in a location, like, hey guys, I want those machines 2 inches apart, or something like that. Yeah. It drives people a little crazy, but it just looks so much better, and it looks like you care. So that attention to detail shows that you care about yourself, and you care about what you're doing, care about your family. So it's pretty cool.
Mm. That's great. That's great, Jim. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And, I know with the AAMA, we're sister organizations with the AMOA, and we do a lot of collaborative things together. But the opportunity when we are all together and we can go, and like you said, in 95-degree temperatures, walk all over Congress from this building to that building and back across, and all of that. It's a long, exhausting couple of days, but it's always worth it, not only because you feel like you're able to have those conversations that are going to make a difference. But I always learn things when I'm around folks at the AMA. I hope y'all learn things when you're around the AMA folks. But it's always a pleasure to be able to spend time with you. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, it's always been great, and I really look forward to the next outing like that in DC next year. Or anything else that we do. Like, we'll see each other at the trade show and things like that. And it's just so great to collaborate with both organizations. And then I bring all these good tasty nuggets back to my state association, and we use them at the state association, and I use them in my business. And it makes things so much better. Makes things so much better. It makes me smile. It's a good thing.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Denise. Take care of yourself.
Well, we hope today's conversation has given you some practical tools to help you sharpen your edge and accelerate your growth. If you're ready to grow your team, your business, or yourself, contact us at thegrowthprogroup.com and set up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Once again, a special thanks to our sponsors, Embed, Party Center Software, AMA Global, Betson, Simnox, Schaefer, and Roller for all that they do to help us bring you the GrowthPro Edge. And until next time, I'm Denise Killian with the GrowthPro Group. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.